confirmed number of coronavirus cases in Los Angeles County comes to 310,595, with the confirmed number of deaths reaching 7,076. Here in Torrance, the total number of confirmed cases is 1,601, with total confirmed deaths at 72. Welcome to COVID-19 Today. I'm Leslie Robbins. It's 4 p.m. on this first Monday in November. We hope you all had a safe Halloween weekend. Well, on the eve of Election Day, voters who have not cast their ballots yet have 3 more options to choose from. 3 vote centers right here in Torrance were designated as official voting sites and are all located at the Torrance Civic Center. It includes the Katie Geiser Library Meeting Room, the George Nakano Theater, as well as the Ken Miller Recreation Center. They opened at 9 a.m. today and will close at 8 p.m. And then tomorrow, the voting centers will be open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. There are more than 750 vote centers now open across Los Angeles County for in-person voting, hoping to give ample opportunity to cast ballots due to the ongoing health pandemic. Now, according to the Los Angeles County Registrar Recorder County Clerk's Office, more than 2.2 million vote-by-mail ballots were received out of the close to 5.7 million registered voters. In California, more than 9 million people have already cast their ballot. According to the Secretary of State's office, there are more than 21 million people registered to vote in the Golden State, the highest percentage heading into a general election in the past 80 years. Well, with a strong turnout still expected today and tomorrow, if you are headed to the polls, here are a few tips to cast your ballot safely and help get you in and out, hopefully avoiding lines. Voters can cast their ballot by using ballot marking devices. They can also simply drop off their completed mail-in ballot, and if you just never got around to registering to vote, you still can. California's provisional ballot allows voters to register in person anywhere ballots are cast during early voting and on Election Day. And if you are registering last minute, be sure to bring your California driver's license or ID card number. You'll also need to provide the last 4 digits of your Social Security number and your date of birth. Now, take the same precautions that you would take anywhere in public settings. Be sure to wear your mask or face covering, wash your hands with soap and water before and after going to your polling place, and bring hand sanitizer. The Centers for Disease Control also recommends bringing your own supplies to help prevent delays at your election site, such as a black ink pen, any required documentation, and your sample ballot to help speed up the process. And in case you do get stuck in a line, be sure to have water, snacks, a fully charged phone for surfing, or a good book or magazine to read. Already, nearly 93 million Americans have voted in the 2020 presidential election, according to the U.S. Elections Project. Well, here's a first for this year's presidential election. NASA astronaut Kate Rubins was able to exercise her right to vote, but from space. Rubins is a crew member for Expedition 6364 and is assigned to a 6-month mission which launched mid-October. In the picture, you see Rubins, and she's pointing to the International Space Station's voting booth where she cast her ballot. This is Rubins' second time voting from low Earth orbit, as she cast her first vote from space in 2016 when she was an Expedition 4849 crew member. And if you're wondering how the vote is cast, first, the county clerk who manages elections in the astronaut's home county sends a test ballot to a team at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston. Then they use a space station training computer to test whether they're able to fill it out and send it back. Well, after a successful test, a secure electronic ballot is generated. An email is sent from the county clerk with crew member specific credentials, which will then allow the crew member to access the secure ballot. Once the astronaut completes their ballot, they are able to download and email it back to the county clerk's office to be officially recorded. Voting from space has been possible since 1997, when a bill was passed to legally allow voting from space in Texas. And since then, several NASA astronauts have exercised this civic right. California Governor Gavin Newsom visited Los Angeles County on Friday to unveil a new laboratory that will significantly ramp up COVID-19 testing in the state. Newsom said in his press briefing that the new lab located in Valencia will help drive down testing costs and improve turnaround time for test results. Now, while tests usually cost about $150, with the new lab fully operational, test prices will drop down to about $30. The new lab opened on Friday and is part of a partnership with Massachusetts-based PerkinElmer. Newsom also said the key to reopening more schools is the expansion of testing. This will enable the state to process an additional 150,000 COVID-19 diagnostic tests per day. California is currently averaging nearly 134,000 tests per day. Los Angeles County continues to remain in the most restrictive purple tier due to the high number of new cases that continue to be tallied. Just on Sunday, 1,590 new cases of COVID-19 were reported, along with 4 deaths. Now today, an additional 1,406 new cases were reported and 2 deaths. The number of people hospitalized in the county because of the coronavirus increased from 783 to 799, with 28% of those patients in the ICU. Now, according to the county public health officials, the county was averaging about 940 new cases per day at the beginning of October, but that's now increased to average about 1,200 new cases per day. Now, in order to move out of the purple tier, the county must average 700 cases or less per day, which would mean more businesses and the restrictions would be lifted, and school campuses could reopen across the county. The county did reach that benchmark back in September, but could not maintain those case levels. The public was urged to avoid traditional Halloween celebrations, avoiding gatherings, and foregoing trick-or-treating to avoid another spike in cases following the holiday. The World Health Organization announced there may be serious long-term effects for those who had COVID-19. WHO Chief Tedros Ghebreyesus spoke in Geneva during the UN agency's latest press conference. Ghebreyesus recently found out someone he had close contact with recently tested positive, so he's taken the precaution of going into isolation for 14 days and working from home. He says he is well and not experiencing any symptoms. During the virtual press conference, the WHO director described the spectrum of COVID-19 symptoms that fluctuate over time as, quote, really concerning. They range from fatigue, cough, shortness of breath, to inflammation and injury of major organs, including lungs and heart, as well as neurological and psychological effects. Ghebreyesus says it's important that governments recognize the long-term effects of COVID-19 and also ensure health services continue to all of these patients, including primary health care when needed, specialty care, and rehabilitation. Several Western states joined Californian efforts to ensure the safety of any COVID-19 vaccine before distribution. Washington, Oregon, and Nevada joined California's COVID-19 Scientific Safety Review WORKGROUP, which was formed to independently review any vaccine approved by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. California Governor Gavin Newsom announced the panel, made up of nationally acclaimed scientists with expertise in immunization and public health, would lead the group. Now, this is not the first time Western states have collaborated in response to the pandemic. In April, California, Oregon, Washington, Colorado, and Nevada joined a Western States Pact, which shared a vision for fighting COVID-19 and reopening their economies. The Western state leaders also urged congressional leaders back in May to approve a $1 trillion COVID-19 relief fund for these states and local governments. Hundreds of Californians faced another financial hurdle as their Bank of America accounts were temporarily frozen due to potential fraud. Nearly 350,000 accounts were frozen due to a potential compromise. Reports surfaced last week and continued over the weekend, with beneficiaries of unemployment benefits reporting their Bank of America accounts were drained of money. After several accounts had been flagged, the financial institution froze accounts that were suspected of being hacked. Now, the state's Employment Development Department is taking extra steps necessary to vet claims as reports of fraud continue to surface. Unfortunately, this is putting legitimate claimants in the middle, having to verify that their claims are valid, leaving them with no way to access money that's already been dispersed to them. The EDD told lawmakers at a committee hearing last week that in an effort to weed out fraudsters, it is working with B of A to review some 358,000 debit cards issued to unemployment Californians and is looking into 315,000 unpaid unemployment claims. Now, according to the EDD, the state estimates it won't clear unresolved claims until at least the end of January 2021. The cruising industry is seeing some relief now with the no-sail order lifted. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention announced on Friday that it would allow the order to expire and will be replaced with a new conditional sail order that will remain in effect until November 1st of next year with stricter sailing guidelines. The CDC shared a 40-page document that outlines the steps cruise lines must take in order to set sail again. Cruise lines will have to prove that their COVID-19 protocols are effective before they are allowed to bring back passengers. Passengers and crew members must also be tested on the day of the voyage as well as at the end of the cruise, and trips cannot exceed 7 days. Simulated voyages must be done to test the cruise line's ability to mitigate virus spread on board should that happen. The Healthy Sail Panel has also developed its own set of detailed steps to safeguard the health and safety of crew members, guests, and communities. Recommendations include the use of face coverings as well as enhanced sanitization procedures on board as well as in terminals. McDonald's fans are cheering for the return of a limited-time menu item. Beginning next month, the fast food chain announced they're bringing back the famous MCRIB. Beginning December 2nd, McDonald's across the country will offer the pork sandwich for a limited time. This pork sandwich first debuted in 1982 and has become one of the most anticipated limited-time menu items offered around the world. It was last offered in 2012. November marks National Diabetes Awareness Month. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, more than 1 in 10 Americans have diabetes, and about a third are pre-diabetic and are at high risk of developing it. In an effort to help prevent becoming diabetic, people should be aware of their blood sugar levels, which is an important indication that they have the condition. Symptoms of pre-diabetes include feeling hungrier than usual, losing weight even though you're consuming more food, feeling thirstier than average, going to the bathroom frequently, and feeling more tired than usual. Some of the risk factors of prediabetes are obesity, lack of physical activity, genetics, and age. The risk of developing diabetes increases after the age of 45. President Donald Trump released a message from the White House stating that with more than 34 million Americans living with diabetes today, his administration is dedicated to continuing efforts to discover better solutions through innovative policies, affordable cures, and therapies. Wilson Park's splash pad will remain closed for the season beginning today, while it's scheduled to remain closed until April 1st as the weather continues to cool down during the fall and winter months. The rest of the park does remain open. Families are encouraged to continue practicing safe COVID-19 measures to ensure minimal risk of exposure of COVID-19. Torrance City officials say when visiting park playgrounds, children and adults must wear face coverings, social distancing must be maintained at all times, children must be supervised, and food and drinks are not permitted while playing on the playground. Now, if you're feeling ill, stay home and take precautions to avoid getting others sick. And to avoid crowding, be sure to share the space. Limit your visit to just 30 minutes when others are waiting. Be sure to wash your hands before and after your visit and wipe down the areas behind you before sharing the space with others. Torrance has more than 30 parks throughout the city with playground equipment at a majority of the sites. Well, before we go at the end of each program, we like to share stories from our community. Feel-good pictures, images, and videos that remind us of how resilient our community is and how Torrance truly cares. The city's Community Services Department hosted a COVID-compliant Halloween event in place of traditional celebrations on October 30th. Wilson Park was the site of a sold-out drive-in theater where 75 cars were allowed in to enjoy the feature film The Nightmare Before Christmas. Attendees did a great job of practicing social distancing and staying safe by wearing masks and staying in their own vehicles. What a fun and safe way to spend the holiday. Now, if you have a great story to share, email us at covid19today@torranceca.gov. We'd love to hear from you. Well, that is our update for COVID-19 today. Be sure to tune in tomorrow as Rhiannon Chutanich brings you the latest updates. Please be safe, stay healthy, and thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.